Looking at rotations. Okay, so with our rotations, this is our last transformation and arguably one of the harder ones, which we will do of the three of reflections and translations. All right, so with our rotations, is that first, so we have rotations in terms of the direction, okay, and then in terms of how far they are actually going to go. All right, so firstly, when we look at the direction, from a point, if we think about what direction things are in fact going, in a clockwise direction, this would represent clockwise. And if we went over on the other direction going this way, it would in fact represent anti-clockwise. All right, so firstly, that's the first thing we need to be able to establish is what direction it is in fact going. All right. Second thing we need to be able to do is how far we're actually rotating this. So all of the rotations we're going to be doing are going to be multiples of 90. So we're going to either do 90, 180 or 270 degrees. All right. Most commonly, the one that we are going to see is 90 degrees. So what does 90 degrees reference? Well, it references a quarter turn. All right. 180 represents a full or half spin, effectively. Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. And 270, we'll actually make mention of this a little bit later on, how we can actually reference a 270 spin. Okay, so the easiest way I think to do this is in reference to putting the... Okay, so we're going to put some colors on each of these different vertices. So we're looking at this first example here. So I'm going to put red in this first one here. All right, I'm going to then have my next color down here of blue, and I'll do my last color here of green. Okay, so that will correspond to my next image in a second. All right, so what I want to do is describe how to get firstly to either one of the red, blue, or green. All right, how to actually get there. So what I have is I have my original, right? So describe myself in terms of how I get there. So from the point of my black point is I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 up. Okay, so my original is 3 up. Now what I then need to do is I have my new image. So the original transfers across to the new image. All right, and what happens is that this is this 90-degree rotation, which we are in fact going to be doing. So what we can do is we say, okay, so as opposed to up, if I picture, I have up, right, down, and left. What I could then picture and do is say, okay, well, if I in fact have up, left, down, and right, and what I want to do is that if I rotate this 90 degrees, as you can see it's starting to spin, what happens is that up actually ends up going over to the right. Right ends up going down, down ends up going to the left, and left ends up going up. So we're spinning the axes effectively in order to create this new one. So now how would you then describe what we had before for this red point here of 3 up? Well, up is now to the right. So 3 up would now represent 3 to the right. So I'm using what I've got over here, right? Up is now pointing to the right. Let's have a look at my blue point now. All right, so firstly describing how I would then represent this blue point. So from the dot, it is currently 3 to the right. So original is 3 right. Now I've already spun this. So which way is right now going? Now right is now going down. So instead of going 3 right, I'm now going to go 3 down. Okay, so as I'm then translating this across to my new image, is I say, okay, from my dot in the center, always from the dot in the center, and so I'm now going to go 3 down. And there's my new blue point down the bottom there, because I said as opposed to going 3 to the right, I'm now going to go 3 down. All right, my red one was in fact 3 up, and as I just transferred to my new image, it's now 3 to the right, which is actually in the same location as where the original blue one was. And now let's look at this green one. Okay, so now for this green one, it is 3 to the right and 3 up. So I have 3 right and 3 up. So how does this look in terms of my new rotated image over on the top right? So 3 to the right is actually 3 down, because right is now pointing down, and 3 up, so just meaning 3 to the right. So now I followed my new image. So 3 from my center dot in the center. I'm going to go 3 down and 3 to the right, which is going to end up in the quarter over there. I then connect my dots. So blue went to red. Okay, let's do this in a black. right? So it then looks like so. And I have my rotated image about that point. All right, so let's do one more together and we'll see how we go with this. I'm actually going to go down to example 5. We're going to rotate each of these images 90 degrees anti-clockwise. Okay, so once again, is that we could color coordinate some of these points. All right, I choose usually the closest one. All right, let's do a few more colors. Red, and then I'll do a blue for the third. Now, once you've got the third one, it should be fairly obvious where the fourth one goes. So before I start this, I'm going to look at this in terms of, well, there's my rotating point right in the center at the dot. So I'm firstly going to look at my original. All right. So for my original, let's do the green one first because that's the closest. That is 2 to the left. Okay. I'm then going to construct my up, down, left, right, up, right, down, and left. Now, this time what we're doing is anti-degrees, so 90 degrees anti-clockwise. So what I'm going to do is going to take my image, I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees anti-clockwise. So that's moving it this way, and I'm at 90 degrees now. So that's made the transformation. So what I'm now going to do is I now have my new image. So from the original now to the new. Firstly, I've got 2 left. Now look at your rotations. Which way is left now going? No, left is going down now. So I'm going to go 2 down. Okay. I can then plot that. So this original green point is now actually down here where I've got my new dot, 2 down. Take the red one. So the red one's quite easy because instead of 2 left, it's now 3 left. Now it should follow the same thing. 3 down, right? 3 down, 1, 2, 3. There it is down there. Okay. Let's look at the blue one. All right. So last one we need to do here is our blue one. So for the blue, it is the original. It is 2 left. Okay. So 2 to the left and it is 3 down. Let's make that transformation. So refer back over to my image over on the right. Left is now going down. So now it is 2 down. And it is in fact 3 to the right. Okay. So from my dot in the center, I'm going to go 2 down where the green dot is, and then 3 to the right, and I end up with my blue dot over there. Should be fairly self-explanatory where your last one goes, which I'll put a little X and that will correspond over to there. And then let's reconstruct this in terms of a rectangle. And there we go. So now I've rotated it 90 degrees anti-clockwise.